Well, I think the question to me is not to be neutral. I don't think anybody can be neutral. We all have our own experiences, our own background. We're all subjective, so we're never neutral. But I think we can be fair. And I think that's a very different concept, to be fair. And so my sense as, for me as a journalist was to try to be fair, was to do the best I could to represent what was going on, and if there's injustices, to show the injustice, and to do that. Sometimes the people at the editors in the office, have a preconceived idea of what it is. They've read or looked at other media sources that depict it a certain way, and it should be a certain way. A photographer once told me that he photographed a poor family from Puerto Rico in New York, and he was told to re-photograph them because the apartment was too clean and neat, and that's not the way it's supposed to look. Well, why do poor people have to be messy? Poor people could be just as clean as rich people, or more clean. The same when I worked with Sebastian Salgado in the famine in the Sahel region of Africa. He was criticized because the people were too beautiful. But why do people starving have to be ugly? Is that subjective? Is that fair? So I thought he was being fair by showing the beauty of people who were in distress. In fact, his book was called Man in Distress, about the Sahel, the first one, and in French. So, I think that sometimes we run into this idea that there are preconceptions about what people are, what's going on, and you're just supposed to illustrate the preconception as a photographer. And to me, that's not fair. That's just illustrating a preconception. I think it's our responsibility, people on the ground, to find out what's actually happening and report it. So when I worked with photographers, when I was at the New York Times, I would ask them, what was it really like on the ground? What was going on? I see your pictures, but tell me more. And sometimes they would say very different things than the writer of the same article. And so then I'd speak to the top editor. I'd say, look, they have two different points of view that are very different. They can't both be right. Something has to be going on here. And sometimes the writer was wrong and the photographer was right because they spend more time on the ground. So I think, I don't think neutral is possible. I don't think objective is possible. But I think fair is possible, and that should be the goal.